Hello everybody and welcome back to Planet Zoo, and today we're going to try something a little bit different. I wanted to try something that I've seen sort of in other sort of zoos in real life really, and do something a little bit different than my sort of career mode or let's play, and I decided to try and do something that I've seen in Bristol Zoo. For those of you from the UK, you'll know sort of all about Bristol Zoo, if you've been down there anyway. And they have a gorilla exhibit there, which is particularly great for a couple of reasons. One, because there's no noticeable sort of cages on the outside, so they're actually sustained on an island, which means you can obviously see them from a distance from the path. And it doesn't look as restricted as a normal cage or sort of anything else would that you may see in certain zoos. But also what is particularly decent about this is there is a building there which effectively gives you a 360 sort of experience with them, and basically what that means is they have these what must be like bulletproof glass. I don't exactly know what type of glass it is, but it's effectively like a bulletproof glass that kind of sits across on top over your head, so that the gorillas can come from one side of the building to the other. And the idea is that you feel exceptionally close to these creatures, which is pretty superb, really, to be fair. So the idea here was to sort of recreate that. It's not going to be a great sort of. It's not going to be full of loads of sort of loads of plants and loads of sort of detail. It's going to be sort of a rough copy just to see if it works, and to see whether or not we can actually get the gorillas walking on top of the glass, which was what we're building here. So as you can see, I'm just copying and pasting these two roofs, getting the glass roofing here, and then obviously getting the flat pane for the middle, and that will separate the two sides of the building. And then underneath there is where the pedestrians or the sort of zoo guys will come, really. So the zoo guests will come to see the gorillas. I wanted to see if they'd interact with them. That was the key sort of mission here, to get a real good view, to see whether or not they'll actually interact, whether they're walking above their head or not really. Yeah, so right now all I was doing is sort of figuring out the path, getting a sort of path layer underneath there, so again the guests could walk in, have a good field of view, and then it was to build a path around the outside of where I was planning to put this sort of island / moat, and then put the path in place at the main gate, which we sort of managed to do there, and then we wanted to sort of manipulate the terrain around to just create the island. This was all sorts of fun when I was trying to get it actually sorted, and you'll see sort of briefly what happens when we actually get a gorilla in here, because let's just say I didn't realise gorillas could jump that far, so we may have one or two problems. But I also had an issue. I was also a bit concerned because obviously we have a guest entrance into what is a walkthrough exhibit effectively here. So I was a bit concerned about adding a keeper's gate. I didn't know whether you could add a keeper's gate as well, so that the keepers would come in from a different angle. I wasn't sure whether that would work, but it appears that will work. So it took a bit of time to tweak, and you'll catch that probably in a little bit, maybe in a minute or two, where I was just messing around trying to get that sorted. Here I'm just trying to complete the main building. Like I said, there's no detail to the exterior of this building. All I'm doing is sort of copying and pasting, just making it building like a big sort of marquee building where the gorillas live. Obviously with a bit more time and a bit more putting together and a bit more mastering the game, I think I could be able to probably put together something quite nice. But really this was just for practical elements really, but I still want it to look okay. I want it to look like it could easily fit into a quick and easy zoo. Like I said, a bit of copying and pasting, flipping over, making sure things are level, and then getting the flat roof in there as well. Again, makes just a huge difference to this piece. I do like going into a lot of detail with my builds. I know that there's a couple of guys like John T over at Geekism, who's particularly very good at, you know, capturing a lot of detail when he does these sort of time-lapse videos and these time-lapse speed videos, and the speed builds that he does. I genuinely think they're brilliant, and I take a little bit of inspiration, I suppose, from them. You know, there are a couple of others that, you know, do, I think Mass Bandit is a particularly very good one as well. Again, lots of detail in there. The whole of Bro Nation are very, very good at putting a lot of detail into their builds. But you can see where the roof is, where the gorillas should be able to walk over and sort of experience that. And like at this stage, I really probably should have begun the test to see whether they'd actually do it. I hadn't tested it at this stage, and I was building all this potentially for nothing, and we'll find out very soon whether or not it actually does work. But yeah, so we've got this nice building. It's sort of a big marquee building. I think it would probably take prominence in many parks. Like, I don't think it's this big in Bristol. I think it's a lot smaller, but at the same time, you know, I want there to be sort of a good experience, and we need to put probably a few climbing frames in there, just to make it all sort of work, because without it, you know, it just wouldn't necessarily sort of work. So in here we'll have the Western Lowland gorilla. They're native normally in sort of Cameroon, and the Republic of Congo, and Niger, a few countries sort of like in and around sort of Africa, really, to be fair. And normally they live in like foraging rainforests, so that's normally where their sort of habitat is. Here I'm building the path, and I just run into numerous areas because of the terrain on this map. It's awful, but I'm building the path so we can see the guests come up. That was the primary reason for that. But yeah, no. So yeah, these Western Lowland gorillas, they're brilliant. They're brilliant looking things. They're massively powerful creatures, and absolutely sort of stunning. Really, they are critically endangered, so it's really important. You know, sort of the projects that zoos sort of do to bring sort of the numbers back. For what is genuinely some actually stunning creatures, and obviously they're known for their silverback gorilla, which particularly is that's normally the alpha male, and they're particularly brutal things as well. They have battles. We actually probably will see one. I think we do see one shortly after. So yeah, they're pretty beautiful creatures, but at the same time they're very, very dangerous, especially if two males are together, because they'll be fighting. Here we were playing with a fence just around the outside. I didn't know how this was going to work, and then I realised he'll go in here and then there's a door, but then the gorillas will escape. So they'll just walk through the door and then they'll be in this bit, and they're not meant to be in this bit. This is meant to be a backstage bit, so I realised that afterwards and went, that's a really stupid idea, let's change it, and really quickly went to moving the door to the side of the building. At one point I didn't think it worked, and then it did, which I was really pleased with. And then we put the vet station in or the ranger station, or whatever it's called, keeper hut, in there as well, just so again, when a keeper goes in there, they're going effectively into the whole area, which looks, I think, you know, it just adds to the realism of the build, which is sort of great, really, to be fair. And like I said, I'm really happy on how that bit sort of turned out. Here I'm plopping down things, and I'm just buying, like I said, it's on unlimited mode, it's on Sandbox. I'm just buying up some gorillas and chucking them in our exhibit. Mainly because now it was really important to see if this whole plan would work. Now, I know that I didn't have any climbing frames at first, so I needed to build one, because they weren't going to climb up the side of the building to get on the glass roof themselves. They were going to need prompting. Before I did that, I did want to put some concrete flooring down. So I think I put some stone paving down here, just to make sure that just to make sure that it all looked even. And I then realised that I wasn't actually playing the career mode, so I could flatten the terrain. I don't know why I forgot at that instance. Got rid of the grass. I mean, it looks a bit more realistic of what you'd see in a zoo, and I'm like the floors and stuff like that. I did forget to add bedding, but you wouldn't have, you know, grass floors in those exhibits. They are concrete floors, or they'll be concrete slabs. So I made sure I got them in as well. Yeah, a little bit of time messing around here, and then the key then. It was crucial. I was checking here to see whether I could change it to climbable, and I couldn't find anything, so I didn't. So in the end, we resorted into building or editing one of these sort of climbing frames. Some of them were too big for the area, which was something I was concerned about, and I'll have to design maybe some of my own when I like finish this off and really polish it off, because I will come back to it and add some polish to it, and it'll be a very, very small episode. We might do it over an episode, maybe 15-minute episode, to polish off this little test really. But I just wanted to, like I said, make sure we had something that was really quite different and quite special, something like I say I've seen in a zoo before and I really, really liked. Yeah, I really wanted to see this. So we built this sort of climbing frame. I didn't know how well they were climbing. The climbing mechanics have been a bit iffy, and I wasn't sure how well the gorillas would climb and whether or not they'd get onto the glass at all. I was really nervous, and then I thought I need something to sort of tempt them over as well, because you know, they've got to have a reason for going over there, I suppose. I did put the water in that side initially, and a food tray inside, but then it kept them inside, which was a little bit annoying. And you'll see there's a lot of trial and error and just trying to get things right and trying to make things work. You know, we did have an escapism happen, and then yeah, it was really, this guy then climbed up. He then climbed up to the roof. He then went on the roof, which was really exciting, and I couldn't believe that actually worked. And that would then lead me to assume he'd come down the other side. So I was happy with how the indoors was for now. And then it was about sort of coming out. Now, at this point, a gorilla escaped. I clicked on him, and as you can see, he's over on that side of the path, which was slightly annoying. We then had to move him, effectively just trade him out, and then bring him back. And then I witnessed one jump over, which was slightly hilarious, and then brought him back over. And once we'd done that, I realised, okay, now I need to widen the moat. I tried finding a fence first, just to maybe angle, and that's, I think, what's at Bristol Zoo. They angle a fence outwards, so the gorillas aren't even tempted to try and make it. I think they're slightly electrified. That would be my guess anyway. But I couldn't find something that, like, without building and doing something that took ages and ages and ages to do, I didn't want to do that. So what I decided to do was just widen the moat. It just made more sense. So what we did when we removed the path, we added the wall. We made it slightly taller, and so the wall covers the whole of the back, which is fine. I'm sort of okay with, and we can camouflage a lot of it up with rocks, steep rocks as well, and maybe wooden logs, and just maybe have the concrete wall there, because I think it's important for integrity reasons. Otherwise the gorilla just push down some like logs and stuff, really, to be fair. But then we can log that up and make a real big sort of log background for it, so when you're walking past and look over, you see all these like sort of like a tree background as opposed to anything else really. And I thought that was really good to capture that. So we ended up building this rather large moat, so it was more out of fear than judgment, because I didn't want there to be any other jumpies across. And then I don't think we had a problem after doing this moat. I think the gorillas sort of calmed down and we no longer had any major issues, which I was pretty pleased with in the end. Like I said, I was extremely nervous, but it is just one of those things. And then that was it really, to be fair. We then got the guests coming up. They loved being underneath the thing, and they loved interacting and looking at the animals. As you can see, we had a gorilla go over there, which was really, really cool. And then what we also had was the guests coming actually out into the main part. I did notice they didn't have a lot of climbable space, and we'll cover that in a minute when we go back into the actual real play moments. But yeah, it was particularly great to see that we managed to get the guests interacting with them, and that really made a real big difference. So we're going to go live in about sort of 15 seconds, so I will catch you over there in just a sec. Enjoy. And here we are. So, yeah, I know. I mean, they sort of like it. There was a couple of issues. I did just slap up these climbing frames. They're actually duplicate climbing frames. And they don't seem to be needing to escape. They can't walk across here and get out. Or they haven't figured that out. But I could probably block that up with some rock. We put some foliage in here, some trees, so they can be able to do some stuff. They do come out that hole, which is good, because now we've obviously put their food in there, but I will change that up a little bit so they stay in this area. So put some maybe toys in there or something that they can play with. The issue is the climbable area. So if you click on one of our guys here, he's not happy because of space. That's because we've got too many gorillas on the go here in this area actually. It's probably the main reason. Nutrition I'm not too worried about. Enrichment, there's actually not enough toy enrichment, but we can sort that out pretty quickly anyway. But the biggest issue is the climbable area. And I find that a bit mad because look at them, they've got loads of area to climb. I'm hoping he can't jump that wall. Speed that up just to check. No, he can't. He's not even thinking about it, to be fair. We've obviously have some fighting for alpha status, but you can only put one male in there. You don't need all these males. I've just done it so you can see all the gorillas, and they do come out. They can't jump this massive water here. And I was so curious to see whether or not I could do it. You could obviously see in the main video that the guys were walking over here, so they can walk over this bit, and there's no escaping this room. So the guests can walk under, the gorillas can walk over, just like they can in Bristol Zoo, and then you have this wonderful pass through here, where they can actually see the gorillas in a sort of more natural habitat, which I really like. I'm so happy that we managed to capture them. And the gorillas don't like to swim. They go up to the water and drink it, but they don't like to swim, so they're staying away from that to do all those things. But I'm really happy with sort of how this turned out. They're about to argue. These two are about to fight. They really don't like each other. And space is a big issue, but we could obviously reduce that by just reducing the number in here, which is great. Obviously getting more out here, but I'm so shocked. I'm like, climbable area 17.4. Just an incorrect sex ratio. Whoops, my bad. But yeah, no, I just don't understand this. Obviously, this is because I've been doing loads of terrain editing as well. You know, that can pretty much be solved by just a quick blend of the grass there. And probably a bit of soil actually. Towards the back here, we can get soil there. There we go. They're pretty happy about that. And plant hard shelter, they're obviously very happy with. All that's hard shelter in there. So they're obviously really pleased with the amount of hard shelter they've got. The big issue social on these guys at the minute, and toy enrichment, which is a little bit surprised. We can maybe chuck in we chuck in a little keyboard down here so they can play the keyboard. We could even put in a mobile mirror on the glass. Oh, that's such a great idea. I'm not even sure why we didn't think of that. I'm not sure how. Oh, I didn't want to put two down. Will the ball roll off the roof? I don't know. We'll put ball enrichment there though as well. And then, like you said, you can, like, climbable is obviously a big thing for these guys. They love to climb. It's really important that you give them all that space to sort of get around and enjoy, really, to be honest. And a little bit of a freeze moment there. But yeah, just try, like, it's really quite odd because I tried offering them. There we go. I don't know whether that's a little bit more climbing from. Look, he's on the roof. He was playing with the ball. He knocked it down there. What an idiot. That's so cute. Yeah, climbable. Look how much climbable stuff they need. They need so much because I put loads in this building alone. I think maybe because of the water space. Maybe, I don't know. But like, surely this counts as climbable. I don't know. It's playing with a bobbin on top of the glass. So look how cool that is. I mean, I don't think these guys actually get much out of it, but he's actually pooing into the path. How cool is that? He's pooing into the path. But the fact he's here and he's interacting on the ceiling is awesome. And they do come down here. I just, for some reason, they're not right now. But it looks really good. Obviously, there are a few cosmetic things. Really, the trick was just to see if we could get it to work. Out here, I'd make some massive changes. Just maybe make it a bit more of a bravado. Put the white framing up, maybe. I put an air gap in there. That's purpose. That's purposeful. I did that on purpose. But yeah, no, I obviously would fratten this up. And obviously, you've got the lovely stuff. You'll keep a hut there as well, so that's actually built into the side of the building, and you see that quite a lot in these sort of big exhibits. You'll see a keeper hut here, and that's where they'll keep stuff, and then they'll obviously drop the animals in here. I like the big back door. You can put something over there, but I'm just shocked. We've got all this climbable area, and that doesn't account for much of what their needs are. What I like, see, look, he's drinking from the water. There you go. But he knows he's not allowed over there. With the guests, but it's, I think, one of the cooler things you can do with the border system on this game is it still all counts as their border. It still all counts. This is all a walkable habitat. So these guys are walking through this habitat now, and then they'll leave. And the only other thing I didn't get around to doing in this as well is obviously building a new fence around here, but a smaller fence, so like a more sort of unintrusive fence. The reason I put these toys over here is that these enrichments, as you can see, there's a couple of enrichments over here, was to test these guys to see if they'd come over and use them, and they won't, and they are climbing all the climbing frames. It's really cool. Look at this big guy hiding in the tree. I really love it. And yeah, so I'm really glad that worked. I hope you guys obviously took something from it. And he's going down. There we go. He's just as I'm about to sign off, and then those guys are actually watching him. So they're actually watching him in his exhibit. I love that the actual guests stop in the domed area. I think it's super cool, and I'm so glad I managed to get it to work. But yeah, like I said, I took a lot of inspiration from Bristol Zoo because they have that indoor thing, and it's a very similar thing. It's a bit smaller than this, to be fair. It's probably only 2 widthways across, not 3. But the fact that the guests can see the gorilla over the other side, interacting, and I haven't done it from a guest point of view. I can't remember what the guest sheet. I guess we can do it from here, maybe. Here we go. So look, even from here, you can look up. Look at that. I mean, that is so awesome. Just having something so cool, just walking, so massive, walking above you, so powerful. But I do like this, and he's pulling faces. I don't know what he's doing. But yeah, again, you can come out here, and then you get to see the gorillas in their real habitat. He's going to run inside now. But look, you've got a good view of them. It's a shame they're overcrowding issues, and I can't wait maybe to breed a couple and just have a couple of babies, just to see how they sort of work it all out. But again, you can walk all the way around here. You'll be able to go through these doors and then to whatever's next in your zoo. You'll notice that we're building it, one of the scenarios, which we're currently playing on the live career. But yes, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you like it, if you like the idea of it, then please like, share, subscribe. If you have any suggestions, put them in the comments below. But I will, if you do enjoy, please make sure you do like and subscribe. It really makes a difference to me. And I will catch you guys all on the flippity flip.